I'm Emily Epp, Manager of Communications at the Cariboo Regional District, joined by Natasha Brosnitsky, Fire Information Officer at the Cariboo Fire Center, and this is our video update for September the 6th. Before Natasha goes into her fire updates, I just wanted to let you know some of the good news. Today, the Cariboo Regional District, in partnership with El Gacho First Nation, Nazco First Nation, Estela First Nation, Eskedem, and Swetlam Highland First Nations, we all jointly lifted a number of evacuation alerts throughout the Cariboo. I wanted to let you know about that. So to start, a small portion of the Clean evacuation alert on the eastern side was lifted today. That has enabled the Tallow Lake School to be open, which is great news. We also lifted some of the evacuation alerts, so for the communities of Nimpo Lake, Anaheim Lake, El Gacho First Nation, up around here to include Thai Town and the Batnuni Lake area, as well as some areas of the Nazco First Nation, as well as some of the areas of the Estela First Nation on the west side of the Fraser River. Those all evacuation alerts were lifted. It's important to note that an evacuation alert does remain in place for an area northeast of Nazco. Also today, the evacuation alerts were lifted for the Canoe Creek, Dog Creek, Alkali Lake area down here. Also, along the north arm of the Quesnel Lake, that evacuation order was listed completely to all clear as well as the small evacuation alert around Mayford Lake, that is now all clear. And that sums up all of the changes from evacuation alerts that happened today with the Cariboo Regional District. For more information on that, and if you're wondering if those impact you, we recommend that you check out our online searchable map and you can see those changes. That's the best way to check that out. So Natasha, do you want to just give us a bit of an update on some of our fires?
Sure, thanks Emily. So today I just wanted to go through some of the larger fires we have around the Cariboo and just provide a bit of an update with where they're at. So we will start out in the Williams Lake area here. So good news from the Williams Lake area. Fires remain quiet in this area. Many of them are under control. A couple of fires still slightly more active are the larger fire in the Cadam Lake area, as well as the fire in the Proughton Lake area. However, crews are making really good progress on those fires. Most of the work now is basically continuing to extinguish hot spots that have been identified by infrared scanning. So that's when we send an aircraft up at night with a scanner that's able to sort of detect areas of heat when it's cool. And having the areas of heat mapped out specifically for our crews makes their work a lot more efficient, and that they'll know where to go for the heat. So some good work being done there. We'll move way out west to the Clean fire. We have seen some increases in fire behavior on this fire with the drying trend we've seen in the last couple of days in the Cariboo, but this has been in the interior of the fire, and the fire has not grown recently, so good news there. Crews are making good progress on the fire in general, and a lot of the work there is focusing on the northern portion of the fire, just to ensure that the highway isn't impacted and that structures in the area aren't threatened. Moving a little bit further east to the Hanceville fire, good progress on this fire as well. They are still putting in guard in one division of the fire in the north where there's a bit more heat and activity there. But in other areas of the fire, it's to the point now where crews are extinguishing hotspots and patrolling. So again, this fire has seen a little bit of increases in activity, but that's just with the hotter weather, and the fire isn't traveling anywhere. So good news there. The Plateau fire, I will just talk about this as a whole. We won't get into north and south too much. Again, the Plateau fire is for the most part looking good. There are still some areas with a considerable amount of heat. Most of those areas are the areas where we saw the significant growth that would be last week that we talked about in the previous video. So crews there, essentially that was again caused by the drying trend, the hotter weather we've seen, and work in those areas with still that have some heat is focusing on constructing guard, as well as burning off from the guard where appropriate, where conditions allow, where that work can be followed up by crews and maintained at a safe level of fire behavior. And in other areas on this fire, again, work is focused largely on extinguishing hotspots and patrolling. Lastly, the Elephant Hill fire. This remains to be one of the most challenging fires in the Cariboo Fire Center, certainly. And unfortunately, we are not expecting to see lots of rain on this fire over the weekend. I'll talk more about the rain in a minute. But essentially the work on this fire is a lot of focus is being placed on the north flank where the activity is still higher. This includes the Sheridan Lake area, and crews are continuing to build guard and working to secure the perimeter. Over the last several days, work on this fire has been challenged by smoky conditions, particularly in the morning, and this has hampered the work of aircraft at times, but still working towards containment on that fire, and hopefully they do see a bit of rain this weekend or later into the week, and we'll talk about that in a minute.
Thanks, Natasha. And like you were mentioning just about the weather and the rain, maybe you can close this off with a bit of a weather update.
Yeah, sure. So starting tomorrow, we are going to see a change in the weather. We are, today seeing the hotter temperatures in the areas where smoke's clearing, and this is going to start to shift a bit tomorrow. So as early as tomorrow morning, we may start to see very isolated light showers in the west, and towards the afternoon, these isolated showers are going to increase. However, we also have potential for thunder showers, so we'll have to watch out there. But essentially, towards the afternoon and evening, rain shower activity across the Cariboo is expected to pick up. However, there will also be a wind shift tomorrow, so crews are always watching out for that in terms of their operations and safety. We're not expecting wind speeds to be as high as with other wind shifts this year, but still something to watch out for. In terms of specific rain, most of the rain we're expecting to see is between overnight Thursday and into Friday. We could see lightning on Friday as well, unfortunately. And in terms of actual rain amounts, it's really difficult to tell, this far out, a couple days ahead. We are, at this point, the weather models are showing highest amounts in the east, so that's not a big surprise to people from the Cariboo, generally a wetter area. We are hoping to see rain amounts across the entire fire center, but we will really have to wait and see what ends up in the rain gauges. And in certain areas in the south, it's really not looking like it's going to be a lot of rain at this point, so fires like the Elephant Hill fire are not going to see substantial rain, at least as we expect now.
Thanks, Natasha. And stay tuned for more updates, and we will talk to you again soon.